Hi guys, and welcome to another video. For those who are new here, my name is Guadalupe and I am a flight attendant for a domestic carrier. I also do styling videos. I love all things fashion, travel videos, basically anything you'd like to see, lifestyle, fashion, travel. That is what I hope to bring content to. If you haven't subscribed already, please do subscribe, like the video, and comment. I usually try to reply to as many comments as possible. Today is going to be a little story time video. I actually wanted to share some of my experiences flying. I haven't had too many, but I've had my top 3 scary flight experiences. And if you guys have stories similar, or if you guys have had your own in-flight fright, leave it down in the comments. I would love to read them and just live that moment with you guys. Let's start off with my first in-flight scary moment. Was probably a few years back. So in training, they tell you that when you are flying, so when you have pain on the ground, when you fly, it feels 10 times worse because of the pressure. They told us this very scary story in flight about a man who went scuba diving. So you're not supposed to fly right after you scuba dive. You're supposed to wait a minimum of 24 hours because you can get decompression sickness. So I don't know all of the like medical stuff that actually happens in the body. All I know is that there's small particles of air that build in your body. Basically, the little bubbles expand when you're in the air. We're told this story of this man who did scuba dive. He went to a very cheapy area. He paid someone money where they don't have you fill out the form where it tells you all the medical conditions that can happen if you do fly and all of the little warnings. So he did not know. He was flying home and basically I don't know if he had a seizure. He started shouting, he was screaming, he was in excruciating pain, and he ended up, I think they did an emergency landing, and he ended up being taken off the plane, and he was permanently paralyzed because of that. So I definitely don't want to mess with things and flying. There's a lot of stuff that can go wrong. My story kind of is in that line, but it was just me being sick, having a cold, and I was flying San Francisco to New York, and I remember I was coming off the cold, so I came to work. I felt fine, and we started the flight. And an hour into the flight, I started getting a headache. I didn't really think anything of it. I thought it was weird because I don't usually get headaches unless I missed a meal or if it's super hot and I'm dehydrated. So I started getting a headache, thought it was a little strange, but nothing crazy. Mid-service, I get this throbbing pain on the top part of my head, almost like my brain is throbbing. I remember I looked at the girl I was working with and I told her, I think there's something wrong. And she was like, what, you don't feel good? Like, I can give you an ibuprofen, maybe that'll help. And we finished service. She gave me ibuprofen. I took the ibuprofen. I think by then it's too late. You know, once you feel the pain, it takes a while for the ibuprofen to kick in. But I sat in the back. This entire, it literally felt, I'm not even exaggerating, like my head was going to blow off. My head was going to, the pressure was so excruciating that I sat in the back galley in my jump seat with my hands like this and my head between my legs. I was in so much pain and I wanted to tell the pilots, like, we need to land somewhere. I am not okay. But obviously I sucked it up, landed in New York. I did end up calling our medical team, MedLink, which is something we use as flight crew. And basically it's on-call doctor, and they talk to you about your symptoms on the phone. And they were really concerned that my eardrums would burst. But I told them I had absolutely no ear pain. It was just an excruciating pain on the top part of my head and the frontal area. And so, I mean, I don't even know why they made me work, but they did. And they just gave me a whole long list of drugs I needed to buy, medication, decongestant, that I needed to take 4 hours prior to the flight. And then every 2 hours, I needed to take ibuprofen, again, 2 hours before the flight, and wanted me to buy a nasal spray. I don't know, they really wanted me to operate the flight back. And yeah, that was super scary. I will never work again if I am slightly congested, because I couldn't work. I was in excruciating pain, and it was just super unbearable. All right, so story number 2 is I was flying as a passenger. I was talking to someone at the time that lived in the Midwest, let's just say, and I had taken the red-eye flight to go and see him. I love taking the red-eye flight because it's the night flight. For those of you who don't know what a red-eye flight is, it is a night flight. So you take the night flight, you can sleep, and then you land in the morning. So typically I would take the red-eye flight, and this time, the area we were landing in had weather. They had a lot of storms rolling in, and we went through the worst turbulence I had ever gone through. And I usually don't really get scared by turbulence. I more so get nauseous. I do get very nauseous, especially if I'm working, because I feel like when you work, you're facing the carts, you see all the people's heads bob, you're still technically walking through the cabin, so you feel it more. If you're sitting by the carts, you see all the carts shake. So I don't know, I always get super nauseous. But as a passenger, not so much. The seat feels more secure, or I don't know, maybe it's just all in my head. And then you have like the little air vent. But we went through some really bad turbulence, and the plane dropped. The plane, not only were we shaking because of the turbulence, we legit shaking, and we dropped. There was a pilot who was also non-revving. So non-revving is when flight crew, when we fly for leisure, when we are using our benefits to fly somewhere. So I knew he was a pilot because he started talking to the people on his side, and he was like, "We dropped this many feet. I can't believe it. Put your seatbelts on." And that made me panic, because as if any normal person says, "Oh my God, we dropped this many feet," you're like, "Están exagerando." They don't know what they're talking about. But this was a legit pilot who was saying this was not normal for us to drop that much. And so my heart sunk. When we dropped, I always wear my seatbelt anytime I'm flying, even if the seatbelt sign is off. My butt lifted. So I was scared, and I know we dropped a significant amount for me to lift off my seat. And I don't know, that was just the scariest moment. I thought, me voy a morir, and no one's even gonna know where I am, because I hadn't told any of my friends that I was seeing someone. So my heart was just beating out of my chest. We're about to drop somewhere in the middle of nowhere, and we're all gonna die, and no one will ever know whatever happened to Guadalupe. But yeah, so that's scary story number 2. And then the last story is this last winter, I celebrated my birthday, and I had a solo trip to Cancun, and I flew on my airline. So I took 2 flights. It was San Francisco to San Diego to Cancun. The first flight, San Francisco to San Diego, is about an hour 15. And when I got on the plane, I knew the girls who were working the main cabin. And so they knew I was going to celebrate my birthday. They offered me some champagne and some orange juice so I could make my little mimosa. But initially I had said no to drinks. It was super early. It was a super early flight. And I had bought coffee and a baguette at the airport. So I was drinking my coffee. I had said no, I didn't want anything to drink. They finished their service. We're about 30 minutes to landing. And they're like, are you sure you don't want anything to drink? It's your birthday, blah, blah, blah. And so I'm like, fine. So they gave me 2 little champagne bottles and a glass of orange juice. So mind you, 30 minutes before landing, we as in the flight crew, clean up the cabin about 15 to 20 minutes prior to landing. So I had to drink my drinks really quick because I knew that they were gonna be collecting trash. So I did drink the beverages quite quickly, but I felt fine. I was a little happy, but I was fine. I had about an hour before my San Diego to Cancun flight. So I walked the airport, got to my gate, got on the flight. About an hour into the flight attendants had started service, right? So this is already now about 2 or 3 hours from my last drink. So this is why I don't think it was alcohol related, but I don't know. And they had started service. I had finished my sandwich at that point and I needed to use the bathroom. So the flight crew is at the front of the plane starting their service. And I was sitting all the way in the back near the bathrooms. So I get up to use the restroom. I open the lavatory and I see that the toilet, whoever used it prior did not flush the toilet. So there's the toilet paper, urine. It just looks really dirty. And I just looked at it as in like, I'm not gonna enter. And all of a sudden I felt this rush of heat. I knew I was gonna pass out. So I just turned around, sat on the toilet with my pants still on, sat on the toilet and just passed out. I passed out. And I woke up, I came back to consciousness and I realized I was on the toilet with my pants on. The door was still open, or it was like halfway open. No one had even noticed. I don't even know how long I was out for. And I was just like, oh my God. So I like closed the door fully, locked it, and I passed out again. I passed out and I woke up with my hands. I was sitting like this. I don't know if you can see. My hands were like this and my head was like, I mean, it's not funny because it was kind of scary, but I passed out, my hands completely touching disgusting lavatory floor. And I woke up and my hands were on the ground and I was just like, oh my God. And so I turned on the sink, washed my hands and splashed myself with the water. And after that, I was like, let me get out of here. So I got out of the lavatory, went back to my seat and just asked for water. I don't know what happened. I was too scared to tell the crew. I didn't want them to panic. But I've never passed out before. And so that was super scary, especially because I was going to celebrate my birthday and I thought, me voy a morir. Me always being dramatic. I was like, me voy a morir, and I haven't even turned 30 yet. Ya aquí voy a quedar muerta. But yeah, super scary. And those are my top 3 scary in-flight stories. Let me know if you guys want some more story times. If you have any stories you'd like to share, leave them down in the comments. I'd love to read them. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.